The think tanks have been held every 4 months for the past few years, tackling a range of topics including housing, community development, services, health and heritage. Delegates include council liaison officers, local government department representatives and elected Aboriginal members of local government, of whom there are only 8 throughout the state. That's a situation the conference would like to see changed.
Aboriginal people have to get more politically aware and get involved in local councils and actually get elected onto the local councils. And in that we're trying to devise a strategy that will begin very soon for the next round of elections in New South Wales.
Considerable time was devoted to the sensitive issue of burial rights. In recent years, the law has forced Aboriginal people to bury their dead in town cemeteries, but the push is on to reopen burial grounds attached to their communities.
We were just forced under the legislation of the day to follow that. Now we're standing up and saying that we should have the choice to bury our people where we traditionally always buried them.
The Taree conference was the biggest held so far, with more than 80 delegates attending. As the boys looked on, the girls from Tuncurry and Casino took centre stage for the semi-final of the PWSA Soccer Championship. Fierce competition saw the Hunter Region champions soon take charge with an early goal. An attempt shortly after by the Coast girls to even the score was unsuccessful. Some great backing up and quick thinking saw the Tuncurry girls storm ahead in the scoring race. The final result, 2-0. The Tuncurry team now moves into the semi-finals.
According to sources within the health system, Minister Ron Phillips is considering a proposal which would cause a major shake-up in the way the Hunter Area and Central Coast health services are run. Under the proposal, the Hunter Area Health Service would absorb the Central Coast Service, and the current Hunter boss, Dr Tim Smythe, would be in charge of both areas. If the proposal is implemented, the Central Coast Board would be dissolved and a new board made up of Hunter and Central Coast representatives formed. A spokesman for the Health Minister, Ron Phillips, confirmed that the Minister will make an official statement about the future direction of the Hunter Area Health Service tomorrow. The announcement will coincide with the retirement of the Central Coast boss, Neville Boyce. The changes would not be confined to the Central Coast and the Hunter. The proposal also recommends a shake-up of health services in Sydney. If adopted, the changes would save the Health Department an estimated $8 million a year, and that's what the shake-up would be all about, cutting administration costs and putting the money back into hospital services. If emergency, he'd be happy to serve the Central Coast. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
And the placings, positive trend from Vane Castle and Banks Meadow, and the winning time was 1:12.86. Adamstown were on top from the outset. Neil Owens putting Gilday in control of the ball, and after a battle he brilliantly scored the opener. Sydney Macedonia were unlucky not to equalise, this shot just over the top. From there on it was all the buds. John Macquarie's long throw-in headed on to fall at Ross Wells' feet, and the experienced campaigner made no mistake. Number 3 came from a free kick which was awarded after Alan Gilday was hammered. Anthony Richards used the woodwork to put the issue beyond doubt. At Nobby's Beach, the final of the Caltex Aquatech Cup for inshore rescue boats. Up for grabs, vital life-saving equipment in the form of motors. Host club Nobbies had won the first round at Cape Hawke near Foster, with Soldiers Beach and Bondi not too far behind. Today's series of rubber ducky rescues was expected to be a battle between Australian overall champions Kiama Downs and National Assembly Rescue title holders Nobbies. But it was Nobbies who proved too strong to wrap up the Caltex Cup, with Soldiers Beach hanging on to second and Catherine Hill Bay sneaking up for the bronze.
On home turf, Hawks supporters had reason to be confident. Second rower Barry Loring sent that confidence skyrocketing. Foster came within centimetres of stretching that lead, Wingham pulling out some amazing last-ditch defence. Then the Tigers turned it on. Andy Guy's great inside ball, his centre partner Ian Cross finishing off some great attack. Foster had all day to pop this field goal, but Wingham was more concerned about the 6-pointers, the bomb and a scrappy try to lock Brian Wilson. The Hawks opened up after that, winger Paul Holden ending Foster's 92 campaign. Next week, the major semi, Port Macquarie up against arch rival Warhope.
Charged by Newcastle Council with the task of revitalising the central business district, the City Centre Committee was born as the town crumbled, just 3 days after the earthquake. But the committee's raising and spending of funds, which amounts to more than $500,000 this year, are being scrutinised at a council and state level.
I think there are a lot of questions relating to the operations of the City Centre Committee and to its very existence that need to be answered and haven't been adequately addressed in the history of the City Centre Committee.
Questions are also what make up a 6-page letter from the Ombudsman's office to Lord Mayor John McNaughton. Those questions ask about council delegating powers to the committee, the levying of a 9% rate on CBD property owners to raise funds for the city centre, the committee's operation, pecuniary interests and the purchase of advertising banners. The Lord Mayor is now replying to the Ombudsman and believes the committee is performing well.
They're doing a fine job, but they're doing it in a different way. It's never been done before. You do something that's not been done before, certainly it raises questions.
But Alderman Sutton says the constitution governing the committee is too vague and needs tightening up.
Well, I believe it's out of control. I think that it's become a force unto itself.
It's an extraordinary suggestion. It's certainly not out of control.
Mr Evans says the investigation is unnecessary since the council is preparing its own internal audit of the committee.
We're working together to see if the constitution and the powers are all in order.
A spokesperson for the Ombudsman would not comment on the investigation because it could prejudice the case. She says the earliest the public could expect any outcome is 2 to 3 months' time when a preliminary finding should be released. Scott Bevan, NBN News. Since its establishment in 1952, the Conservatorium has unravelled for more than 10,000 young musicians the mysteries of melody and rhythm.
It's grown from its beginnings in 1952 to a music school which is really now not only of national importance but is attracting some attention internationally.
Having scaled the highs in 40 years of music making, the con turned on a birthday celebration for itself. While a lone guitarist plucked, everyone else partied, including Lord Mayor John McNaughton, who it turns out learnt the violin at the con in its foundation year.
I won third prize in the Newcastle of Stedford in 1953, I think it was. I learnt a great appreciation of music, and I no longer play.
The presents hit the right note, as did this baroque bash of a birthday evergreen. But the Hunter public is also getting a present in the week-long Keyboard Festival 92 to be launched on August the 24th.
We do lots of things here. We have community programs. We're also the Faculty of Music working within the university. And I guess that the Keyboard Festival brings together both of a striking way.
And adding another string to the con's bow, director Michael Dudman has been appointed a chair by the uni for his services to music. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
University student Matthew Rodwell has been studying the form of Manly Warringah this week, and that of Jeff Tuvey in particular.
His defence is outstanding, and also his attacking game is going very well at the moment.
The diminutive number 7 Sea Eagle hit devastating form against Premiers Penrith last week, but he'll have his hands full against Rodwell, who is into a purple patch himself. And the word is it'll be a battle of the little men on Sunday.
Hopefully we'll sort of get involved in an individual clash somewhere along the line, and hopefully I can get the points on him.
Manly are out for revenge after a controversial loss to Newcastle last round in Auckland. The Knights are looking to continue their winning run into the semis, and they have at least one footy expert egging them on.
They're a huge chance to make the 5.
King Wally Lewis is in Newcastle for a fundraising auction for the family of 34-year-old Neil Quinlan. Neil collapsed and died in a Wanderers rugby union match earlier this year. One of the items to go under the hammer, an Aussie jumper autographed by Wally himself. It went for just over $1,100. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Ten teams from Cronulla and Ku-ring-gai in Sydney, Coffs Harbour and Hastings, Central Coast and Tamworth are competing in T-ball and junior baseball in ages from under 10s to 16s. T-ball is the introductory game to baseball and gives young players a chance to develop coordination as well as throwing skills. Tamworth in the blue and gold were the defending champions, but yesterday they were on the other side of a hiding at the hands of the Coast. Tamworth are fielding a new look team and they took time to get adjusted to the pace of the game. The Coast running out easy winners, 25 runs to 7.
It was Project Identikid Day in Newcastle, local police and Lions Club members providing the means for parents to get identification cards for their children. Aimed at 16-year-olds and under, the card includes details like the child's height, age, distinguishing marks and medical information, plus fingerprints if desired. A photo is added to provide an up-to-date, accurate description of the child if he or she goes missing.
Sometimes when parents come in to report their children missing, they're very emotionally upset, and they tend to sometimes give us a wrong description of their child.
Every year in Australia, 16,000 children go missing, 1,000 of those in northern New South Wales. While most are found quickly and safely, some are not.
The importance of this card could mean that the difference between finding a child and not finding a child. The quicker we have the information, the bigger chance we have of finding a child.
Money raised from the small fee charged for the cards is used to support charities, hospitals and community groups. Identikids will be set up at McDonald's outlets around Newcastle during the next 5 weeks, but is available Australia-wide through local police or Lions clubs.
Kumateo fighting is the top event at these 4th World Championships, and the quarter-finals were all very close. Tournament director Brian Hayes of Newcastle just squeezed past his opponent Gary Sabine of Canada. The defending champion Hiyoshi Tanaka of Japan outclassed Aussie Michael Doohan in their match. Nakamura also entered the run of local lad Warren Tressida, and Canadian Glenn Kirk was too tall and strong for Shiomitsu of Japan. Both semi-finals were extremely close, with Hayes in the red and Tanaka providing a feast of high-quality kumite. Hayes, on the end of a barrage from the champion, required medical attention before resuming, and to his credit, picked up a couple of points, but it wasn't enough, and Tanaka advanced to the final where he met Kirk of Canada. And what about? Tanaka was the raging favourite, but it was Kirk who got the early break before Tanaka fought back to level. But the big Canadian stuck to his fight plan, and to the obvious delight of the tremendous crowd, was crowned the victor and the new World Shido-Ryu Kumite champion. Walker seemed to have all the possession in the first half and on numerous occasions pressed the Tamworth defence into error, which converted to points. Conditions were difficult for controlled rugby and both sides made a few blues, with Walker able to capitalise better than Tamworth. Tamworth needed to beat Walker to stay in the hunt for the semi-finals, and halfback Gerard Kennedy gave them a brief sniff of victory with a smart try. But it was to no avail, and Walker ran away with the match to win by 19 points and secure 4th spot. So the position of the table with 1 round remaining is Corindi and Moree on top with 28 points, Barraba on 26 and Walker on 24. Then follows Tamworth, Narrabri, Gunnedah, Inverell and Pirates.
Certainly not lacking in one thing, that anzac fighting spirit. Battalions of the 2nd and 3rd Infantry Brigades.
Newcastle's past may be tied to its harbour, but it's been a few years since anyone saw ghosts of the great age of sail coming through the heads. Crisscrossed by craft of the modern era, the 43-metre-long Bounty edged its way to Forjac's floating dock, where it will stay for the next 2 weeks.
Primarily it's for us to do work on the ship. We're going on the floating dock on Monday morning, and we'll be doing quite some major work on it.
While the rigging and decks suggest centuries of plying the 7 seas, this ship is only 12 years old. Featuring a curious mix of mod cons, high-tech and attention to old-world detail, This bounty was the central prop of the Mel Gibson movie of the same name. Despite the ship's most famous captain, William Bligh, running foul of his men 200 years ago, Johnson has no fears of rumbling in his ranks.
It's a modern ship, and the crew is well fed and well kept, and generally, I think, happy.
The Bounty's owner, Bruce Reid, also made the 14-hour journey from Sydney. Mr. Reid, who bought the Bounty a year ago for $1 million, says he may rekindle the spirit of adventure by offering tours on the high seas.
There could be a possibility for weekends to get people on as almost part crew and enjoy a run up the coast in blue water.
Detectives displayed the sawn-off rifle used in this morning's attempted hold-up. The gunman left not only his weapon, but a woolen beanie and a round of ammunition in his haste to escape from the quietly spoken hero of the day, Bob Cherry. Bob is part owner of Frames Auto Electricians on Metcalfe Street. At 6 o'clock this morning, the gunman burst into the office and ordered him to open the company safe. That's when Bob pulled the oldest trick in the book.
Looked out towards the door and I said, "Oh, the police are coming." As soon as he looked around, I rushed out and grabbed the gun.
The gun went off, the bullet ricocheting from a filing cabinet.
Got the gun off him, but then he tried to take it back, so I hit him with it, and he ran off out the door.
Police are now taking fingerprints from the weapon. They've also spoken to a number of witnesses near the garage. However, their advice to anyone else confronted by an armed man is don't take any chances.
My recommendation would be to hand the money over. But obviously this gentleman this morning was very brave in what he did, but it wouldn't be recommended under normal circumstances.
Perhaps Bob is an exceptional case. He still bears the scars of a knife wound from the last time somebody attempted to rob him. The assailant fled empty-handed on that occasion as well. Police say the gunman is about 20 years of age, 180 centimetres tall, of medium build with shoulder-length blonde hair. He was wearing a fawn three-quarter-length jacket and light blue jeans. Anyone with information should contact Wallsend Police.
The Rosellas have been the dominant team this season. They were undefeated at the end of the minor round, scoring a mammoth 573 points, 162 more than second-placed Lakes United. Backing up their attack, West also had the best defence in the Tooheys Cup, conceding only 234 points.
The guys have sort of stuck to their task each week. It's been, the last few games has been hard because complacency's been there a little bit, but mate, it's been a great achievement, and the guys are knowing now that they've got to go on with it.
But funny things happen in final series. Last year, West were raging favourites to grab the glory of a grand final victory, but Toronto created history in winning their first flag. That loss still sticks in Baker's craw.
Pretty excited last year after we beat South in the major semi there, and I thought we were probably specials, but I know what it's all about now. We've got to knuckle down and go on with it from here.
By wrapping up the minor premiership, West have earned a break. Curry and Waratah do battle on Saturday in the elimination final, with Lakes and Souths clashing on Sunday. Baker will be more than an interested onlooker this weekend.
I honestly believe, just looking at the three sides up there now, I think Lakes, Souths and ourselves, but don't underestimate Waratah and Curry. Waratah's given us a couple of good games, and Curry, if they get their straps, they've got a couple of good forwards, and Onane's certainly a good halfback. They could go places too.
Within sight of their first appearance in the Winfield Cup semi-finals, it's not time for the Knights to go off the boil. Last week's performance against Cronulla was ordinary. Yesterday against Manly, a refereeing decision, injuries and just bad play cost the Knights the 2 points. For Graham Annesley, a giant blunder. Compounding matters in the first half, Robbie McCormick required 14 stitches in a gaping head wound and didn't see any more action. And Paul Marquardt, the tackling dynamo, suffered a serious eye injury and he too was sidelined. But the Knights made plenty of simple errors to hand Manly points on a plate. That penalty by Ridge and a drop ball by the Knights with the line wide open late in the second half secured the win for Manly, one they deserved with bigger-than-life defence and a magical game from the mercurial. To their credit, the Knights never gave in, but the Sea Eagles shaded them on the day. Now it's all or nothing in the remaining 3 matches. The Gold Coast away this weekend, no easy encounter, and then the daunting task of beating Brisbane for the first time, followed by the Raiders at home. On their form for the season, the Knights probably deserve to make the semis, but one slip could be deadly. It's now up to the players.
Just when residents of Martin Street thought they were getting close to resolving the issue of their contaminated blocks, the minister they were dealing with resigned. Environment Minister Tim Moore was forced to quit Parliament after the findings into the Metherell affair were released. He met with residents the night before the government shake-up and organised to hold further talks with them in August. Chris Harcher has now filled Tim Moore's position. He'll have his first meeting with residents on Sunday.
This one is in the nature of a getting to know you visit. It's important for the new minister to see the scope of the problem, to deal with the people, to see at first hand what their concerns and perceptions of the problem are, so that will help him to make whatever decisions he's going to be having to make in the future.
Residents have been fighting for 2 years to resolve the issue. They discovered in January 1990 that their subdivision was contaminated by copper arsenate. It was left in the soil from a timber pole impregnation plant. The government has suggested rehabilitating the land. That will be discussed on Sunday. Although no longer the minister concerned, Tim Moore will be at the weekend meeting.
It seems that he intends to keep the momentum going, and these meetings will continue.
Today, cranes lifted the third of 4 masts into place. When the new RSL club is completed, it'll cater for 16,000 members. The club will have a range of facilities, including restaurants and lounges. Function rooms will also be available. The building is located in Port Macquarie's Settlement City complex on the banks of the Hastings River. In keeping with the setting, the building has a nautical theme. Work began on the project in January this year. Construction is slightly ahead of schedule and the building should be finished next April.
Tui Crab has wanted to be a model for as long as she can remember, and now that cherished dream is about to become more than she ever hoped for. Tui was selected from dozens of contestants in Newcastle to represent the city in a swimsuit calendar going into print next year. She'll fly to Hamilton Island to join the other 11 finalists for a week of photographic modelling. While most of the contestants don't have a preference for which page they appear on in the calendar, Tui's the exception.
September, that's my birth date.
Miss Calendar Girl 1993 will get the chance to travel to Las Vegas. The winner will be decided by popular vote, and Tui can rely on Newcastle to make sure she's a favourite. But do models have role models of their own? Of course they do.
Elle's mine. I love her. I think she's perfect.
Look out, Elle. Here's Tui.
5 years after putting his plans on paper and 1 year since the dozers moved in on what was a ramshackle boatyard, developer Ian McAndrew enjoys a sense of satisfaction as he watches the Anchorage resort take shape.
I hope it'll be the making of Corlett.
Initially plagued by protest, the proposal went before the Land and Environment Court twice before getting the all clear. Now it seems not even the loss of a one-third equity party, the well-known Peppers Hotel Group, will keep the $30 million resort from opening in December. The final showdown between the partners came over a rancho-style decor.
Unfortunately, the joint venture didn't agree with the type of fit-out that Peppers had proposed. It was a very Spanish desert-like, and we rather felt that we should have we've got an Australiana building here with a little bit of Nantucket flavour, and we thought there should have been a nautical theme and something more in keeping with the wonderful architecture and the seascape and the landscape around Corlett and Port Stephens.
A meeting of directors heard today that work on the 81-room resort was on schedule, with a breakwater, public access boardwalk and 90-berth marina all nearing completion. Once operating, the Anchorage Port Stephens will employ about 100 people. Job applications are already pouring in for positions that haven't yet been advertised. Andrew Lobb reporting for NBN News.
Melbourne-based BHP Steel Chief Executive Ron McNeely and Rod and Bar Products boss Paul Jeans met with local politicians and union leaders on the big Australian's future in Newcastle. The Mayfield plant has been the lifeblood of the city, in its heyday employing more than 11,000 people. That's been cut to 3,800 and its expected numbers will be trimmed even more.
There's of course going to be an ongoing requirement right across the steel industry in Australia and internationally to reduce costs, and that has an element of labour force numbers in it as well.
But the actual numbers that will go and the type of plant that will continue here in Newcastle is still under wraps. That's all part of a special study which should be released by the end of the year. The plant could become a mini-mill recycling iron and steel, or perhaps a Corex design which eliminates coking ovens. Whatever the final decision, unions have accepted it will mean workforce cutbacks.
Any new technology, there is naturally losses in jobs anyhow.
Maury Rudd from the Federated Industrial, Manufacturing and Engineering Employees says any viable industry is better than none at all. BHP suffered a net profit fall of 60% for 91-92, and it's well known the market for steel in Australia is at an all-time low. BHP executives will meet again with Newcastle representatives next month to keep them up to date with any changes. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
You know, ruined the house completely. We're replacing the Metro 10 machine, so this is the new grid.